Before the arrival of the moving staircase, travelling across London was a very different experience. The city was a bustling, sprawling metropolis, and getting from one place to another often involved a combination of horse-drawn buses, trams, and the relatively new electric railway system, the London Underground. While the trains themselves were a marvel of modern engineering, the stations, particularly the deep-level tube lines, presented their own unique set of challenges. Passengers had to navigate a complex labyrinth of tunnels and passageways, often descending great depths below the city streets. It was an era of effort and exertion, where every journey required a significant amount of physical stamina from the city's inhabitants. The primary method for reaching the deep platforms was the hydraulic lift. These were essentially large water-powered elevators, capable of carrying dozens of people at a time. While they were effective, they had significant drawbacks. Media group, long queues at Edwardian Underground station entrances, people waiting for lifts in historic station and at Stockett at Distribute _equally. The lifts operated on a schedule, meaning passengers often had to wait in long queues, which could be frustrating during peak travel times. Furthermore, the capacity of the lifts was limited. As London's population grew and the underground network expanded, the lifts became a major bottleneck, slowing down the flow of people and causing congestion both at street level and down on the platforms. The system was straining under the pressure of a city that was constantly on the move. For those who preferred not to wait, or if the lifts were out of service, the only other option was the spiral staircase. These winding flights of steps were a daunting prospect for many travelers. Descending hundreds of steps into the earth could be dizzying and tiring, especially for the elderly, those carrying heavy luggage, or parents with young children. The staircases were often dimly lit and could feel claustrophobic, adding a sense of unease to the journey. The physical effort required meant that the underground was not as accessible as it could have been, excluding a portion of the population from using this revolutionary form of transport easily. This reliance on lifts and stairs shaped the daily routine of the London commuter. People had to factor in extra time for their journeys, accounting for potential queues and the slow process of getting to and from the trains. The experience was often one of hurry up and wait. The railway companies knew that to make the underground truly efficient and appealing to the masses, they needed a continuous, seamless way to move people. They needed an invention that could transport a constant stream of passengers without the delays and physical barriers of the existing methods. The search was on for a solution that would revolutionize station design and change the face of public transport forever. The solution to the Underground's passenger flow problem came in the form of a marvelous American invention, the moving staircase, or escalator. The idea was simple yet revolutionary. It was a conveyor belt for people, a set of stairs that move continuously, promising to carry a steady stream of travelers up from the depths of the earth without any waiting. The directors of the Underground Electric Railways Company of London saw the immense potential of this technology. They believed it could eliminate the dreaded queues for the lifts and make the journey into the subterranean world of the tube faster, more efficient, and far more comfortable for everyone. It was a bold and forward-thinking investment in the future of London's transport infrastructure. The decision was made to install the very first escalator at Earl's Court Station in 1911. This location was deliberately chosen as a key interchange station, connecting the District and Piccadilly lines. Installing the new device here would allow the company to test its effectiveness in a busy environment, observing how thousands of passengers interacted with the strange new machine. Engineers from the Otis Elevator Company were brought in to oversee the construction. It was a complex and challenging project, requiring precise engineering to fit the large, heavy mechanism into the existing station structure. The final result was a machine with 444 moving steps, a true spectacle of the industrial age. The design of this pioneering escalator was quite different from the sleek metal ones we see today. It was constructed primarily of wood with a distinctive design featuring a flat top and a bottom and a diagonal balustrade. The steps themselves were not separate, but instead formed from a continuous belt of wooden slats that slotted together to form the steps on the incline, a feature known as the shunt or comb type. As passengers reached the top or bottom, the slats would slide past a comb-like device, flattening out for the return journey. It looked more like a piece of industrial machinery than a feature of a public space, which only added to the public's sense of wonder and apprehension. The railway company knew that simply installing the escalator was not enough. They had to convince a skeptical public to use it. This was a completely new experience, and many people were naturally nervous about stepping onto a staircase that moved beneath their feet. The potential for accidents was a real concern, both for the public and for the company's management. To prepare for the grand unveiling, the company began to think about how they could demonstrate the safety and reliability of their new machine. They needed a plan to ease the public's fears and encourage them to embrace this new form of vertical travel, turning a mechanical curiosity into an essential part of the daily commute. When the escalator at Earl's Court was finally ready for the public on the 4th of October 1911, the railway company executed a brilliant publicity stunt to demonstrate its safety. They hired a man named William Bumper Harris, a railway worker who had a wooden leg. The thinking was wonderfully simple. If a man with only one leg could ride the moving staircase with ease, then surely anyone could. Bumper was paid to ride up and down the escalator all day long, showing the nervous crowds that there was absolutely nothing to fear. His calm and steady presence on the moving steps provided a powerful and reassuring message to all the onlookers who had gathered to witness the spectacle. The reaction from Londoners was a mixture of awe, excitement, and sheer terror. For many, this was the first time they had ever seen anything like it. Newspapers had written about the invention, but seeing it in person was another matter entirely. Crowds gathered at the station just to watch the magical moving stairs, with some people travelling to Earl's Court specifically for this purpose. Children were particularly fascinated, seeing it as a fairground ride that had mysteriously appeared underground. However, many adults were hesitant. They would stand at the entrance, watching others, trying to pluck up the courage to take that first fateful step onto the moving platform, their faces a picture of concentration and anxiety. The first few days were filled with amusing and slightly chaotic scenes. People were unsure how to get on and off gracefully. Some would try to jump onto the steps, often stumbling in the process. Others would freeze at the end, causing a small pile-up of passengers behind them. Station staff were on hand to offer encouragement and a steadying arm, shouting instructions like, "Step on with your left foot and don't hesitate!" There were reports of people riding it up and down multiple times, treating it like an attraction rather than a means of transport. The escalator became the talk of the town, a must-see novelty that was as much an entertainment as it was a practical solution to a transport problem. Despite the initial nerves, the demonstration by Bumper Harris and the sheer convenience of the machine quickly won the public over. People saw how much faster it was than waiting for the lift or trudging up the long flights of stairs. The continuous flow of the escalator meant that even during busy periods, the crowds kept moving smoothly. The initial fear soon gave way to acceptance and then to appreciation. Londoners, ever practical, recognized a good idea when they saw one. The success at Earl's Court proved that the escalator was the future, paving the way for its installation in stations all across the growing underground network. The era of the moving staircase had truly begun. The successful introduction of the escalator at Earl's Court marked a pivotal moment in the history of the London Underground and indeed of urban life itself. The railway companies, now confident in the technology, began a massive program of installation. New, deeper tube lines could be built with the knowledge that passengers could be moved to and from the platforms quickly and efficiently. Stations like Piccadilly Circus and Leicester Square were designed around huge banks of escalators, which became architectural features in their own right. The moving staircase was no longer a novelty. It was an essential component of modern transport infrastructure, shaping the design and capacity of the entire network. This new technology had a profound impact on the daily lives of Londoners. The city seemed to shrink as journey times were reduced. The underground became more accessible to a wider range of people, including the elderly and those with mobility issues, who had previously been deterred by the long flights of stairs. The daily commute became less of a physical ordeal and more of a seamless modern experience. Escalators helped to create a new rhythm for the city, a continuous flowing pulse of people moving from home to work, from the suburbs to the heart of the capital. They became an accepted and almost unnoticed part of the urban landscape. The influence of the underground's escalators spread far beyond the transport network. They popularized the technology, leading to their installation in department stores, airports, and public buildings across the country and around the world. The sight of people gliding effortlessly between floors became a symbol of progress and modernity. The escalator changed how architects thought about multi-level spaces, allowing for more dynamic and interconnected building designs. It helped to fuel the growth of consumer culture by making large department stores easier to navigate, encouraging shoppers to explore every floor. The humble moving stair had a surprisingly far-reaching impact on commerce and architecture. Today, it is almost impossible to imagine London without its escalators. They are the arteries of the underground system, carrying millions of passengers every single day. While the wooden slats of the original have been replaced by steel and the designs have become safer and more sophisticated, the basic principle remains the same as that first machine at Earl's Court. From the nervous first steps of Edwardian Londoners to the unspoken etiquette of standing on the right, the escalator has woven itself into the fabric of the city's life. It stands as a lasting legacy of the vision and ingenuity of those early transport pioneers who dared to introduce a moving staircase to the world beneath the streets.